Esha had finally made the toughest decision of her life. In front of the entire family, she broke every relationship she had with Suraj. No one in the Haveli had ever imagined that such a heartbreaking moment would come. The huge courtyard was packed with people, but every eye was fixed on just one man, Suraj. The same Suraj who was once respected as an honest IAS officer and the pride of his family. But today, everyone believed he was none other than the dangerous criminal known as Dada Bhai. Esha stepped forward, carrying a bucket filled with black paint. There were no tears left in her eyes. The love she once had for Suraj had turned into pain, anger, and betrayal. Before anyone could understand what she was about to do, she poured the entire bucket over Suraj. Within seconds, his face and clothes were covered in black. Silence spread across the courtyard. Nobody had the courage to say a single word. With a trembling voice, Esha looked straight at him and said that the man she had once worshipped had become the biggest lie of her life. She declared that Suraj was not her husband anymore. According to her, he was a criminal whose hands were stained with blood, and from that moment onward, every relationship between them was over. Bandi rushed forward trying to explain that Esha did not know the complete truth, but before she could speak, Suraj quietly raised his hand and stopped her. Even though pain was clearly visible in his eyes, he forced a small smile and calmly said that no one should interfere. Esha was his wife, and she had every right to punish him if she believed he was guilty. If this was the punishment she wanted to give him, he would accept it without any complaint. His words filled everyone's eyes with tears, but instead of calming down, Esha became even angrier. She removed her Mangal Sutra and threw it in front of Suraj. She warned him never to call her his wife again. The day she discovered that her husband was actually Dada Bhai, she considered him dead. For her, their marriage no longer existed. The entire family stood frozen, but suddenly, Tai Maa lost control. Without thinking twice, she slapped Esha across the face. The sound echoed throughout the courtyard. Esha was completely shocked. She had never imagined Tai Maa would raise her hand on her. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but Tai Maa's eyes were also filled with tears. The only difference was that Esha's tears came from anger, while Tai Maa's came from the pain of watching her family fall apart. Tai Maa said that no matter what happens, a husband should never be insulted like this in front of everyone. If Esha truly believed Suraj was guilty, she should have first asked him for the truth. Suraj had never disrespected her, never hurt her, and always protected her dignity. Yet today, she had destroyed his honor before the entire family. She reminded Esha that even if two people choose different paths, the 7 wedding vows taken before God can never become meaningless. Crying, Esha replied that she could never stay with a man whom the entire world feared as Dada Bhai. She refused to believe that such a feared person could ever be her husband. Tai Maa answered with a painful truth. She said that the world only sees what appears on the surface. Sometimes a person accepts a bad name only to protect the people he loves. Hearing this, Kavya and Riya stepped forward. They wanted to reveal everything. They wanted to tell Esha that Suraj had never willingly entered the criminal world. Circumstances forced him into that dark life. But once again, Suraj stopped everyone with just a glance. His face was still covered in black paint, but the pain inside his heart was much deeper than the marks on his face. Softly, he said that if Esha hated him, she had every right to do so. One day the truth would come out, and that day every answer would be in front of her. Until then, no one would reveal anything. Bandi could not hold back her tears anymore. She could not understand how a man who sacrificed everything for others was now being called the biggest criminal. At the same time, Arvind Ji was silently watching everything from a distance. His heart was breaking. He knew that if he remained silent today, his family would be destroyed forever. Gathering all his strength, he slowly tried to move forward. He wanted to tell Esha the truth that Suraj had never committed crimes for personal gain. He had only fought against powerful builders who had illegally occupied the land of a school meant for poor children. Those same people had brutally murdered Arav, the younger son of the family, and had also tried to kill Arvind Ji. That attack had left him in a coma for months. Just as Arvind Ji was about to reveal everything, he suddenly clutched his chest. His breathing became faster, darkness filled his vision, and the very next moment he collapsed to the ground. The entire house erupted into panic. Esha, Suraj, Tai Maa, Kavya and Riya all rushed towards him. No one realized that this single moment was about to change all their lives forever. Tai Maa held Arvind Ji's head in her lap and desperately begged him to open his eyes. She kept telling him that he still had so much left to say and that he could not give up now. Esha immediately ran to him. Only moments earlier, she had been consumed with anger, but now fear had taken over. She promised that nothing would happen to him and said she would call an ambulance immediately. Suraj quickly checked Arvind Ji's pulse. The seriousness on his face was enough to frighten everyone. Without wasting even a second, he told Bandi to bring the car because there was no time to lose. Esha watched him in disbelief. The same man she had called a criminal was now the first one trying to save her father's life. Even then, her heart refused to believe in him. She tried convincing herself that Suraj was only pretending, but for the first time, a small question entered her mind. If Suraj was truly so heartless, why was he the one who looked the most worried? Within moments, Suraj lifted Arvind Ji in his arms and rushed towards the car. The black paint was still covering his clothes and face, but he did not care about his humiliation anymore. At that moment, Arvind Ji's life mattered more than anything else. Throughout the journey, Suraj kept holding his hand and begged him not to lose hope. He reminded him that he was the one who had taught him to fight, so he could not give up now. With great difficulty, Arvind Ji slowly opened his eyes. He tightly held Suraj's hand and in a weak voice whispered just one sentence. "Son, tell Esha the truth." As soon as he finished speaking, his voice faded away and his head fell to one side. Tai Maa broke down completely. Kavya and Riya could not stop crying. Even Esha's eyes filled with tears, but she still could not understand what truth the entire family was hiding from her. She felt that everyone was trying to protect Suraj, while Suraj himself was stopping everyone from speaking. That contradiction only confused her even more. For the first time, helplessness appeared clearly on Suraj's face. He feared that if anything happened to Arvind Ji, the secret that had changed his entire life would disappear forever. The hospital was only a few minutes away, but no one knew what fate had prepared for them before they reached there. Outside the emergency ward, everyone waited with folded hands and restless hearts as the doctors rushed Arvind Ji inside. Tai Maa prayed continuously. Kavya and Riya cried silently. Esha stood in one corner, trying to control her emotions. Then her eyes fell on Suraj. Only a short while ago, she had publicly humiliated him. Now he was sitting in the same clothes, covered with black paint. He had not even tried to clean his face. His only fear was that if Arvind Ji did not survive, the truth would remain hidden forever. After some time, the doctor came out of the operation theatre. Looking at his serious expression, everyone's heartbeat stopped. The doctor explained that Arvind Ji's condition was extremely critical. He had suffered a severe emotional shock, and if he experienced such stress again, saving him might become impossible. Although he had not completely lost consciousness, the next few hours would decide everything. Those words shattered the family. Tai Maa collapsed into a chair. Esha could no longer stop her tears. For the first time, she realized that one decision had pushed her entire family into a terrible crisis. Yet her mind was still full of unanswered questions. What was the truth that Arvind Ji was willing to risk his life to reveal? Why did Suraj stop everyone from speaking every single time? And if he really was a criminal, why did his face show sacrifice and pain instead of pride? Just then, an unknown man quietly entered the hospital corridor. From a distance, he noticed Suraj and immediately looked away. He was one of the men working for the builders who had illegally taken over the school land and had planned Arav's murder. He quickly called his boss and reported that Arvind Ji was still alive. If he regained consciousness and told Esha everything, years of planning would be destroyed. A cold voice answered from the other side of the phone. "Don't let him speak, at any cost." A dangerous smile appeared on the man's face. What he did not realize was that Kavya had overheard part of the conversation. Fear spread across her face instantly. She understood that the danger was far from over. In fact, the real battle had only just begun. At the same time, Suraj also noticed the suspicious man leaving the hospital. One look was enough for him to recognize him. At that very moment, Suraj made a silent promise to himself. Even if the whole world continued to call him Dada Bhai, this time he would expose the real criminals before both the law and Esha. His only fear now was that the truth might die forever if Arvind Ji stopped breathing before he could reveal everything.